You didn't just stumble onto this message. You were summoned. Heaven has been whispering your name in places your feet haven't even walked yet. And now, the whisper is turning into a roar. They called it rejection. But was it really redirection? They said you were forgotten. But what if you were hidden for such a time as this? The silence wasn't absence. It was strategy, a divine concealment, until the scroll with your name on it began to tremble. Some of you have felt it. The world around you shifting, the familiar growing hollow, your spirit pulling at the seams of the ordinary, not with fear, but with fire. Because something inside you knows. You weren't born to blend in. You were born to break through. This is Echoes of the Chosen, where the hidden awaken, where sealed scrolls begin to open, where ordinary names are exchanged for eternal assignments. Before you were ever seen by man, you were known by God. Jeremiah 1:5 says, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart." That wasn't poetry. That was your blueprint. So stay, not just because this message is powerful, but because it might explain why your whole life has felt like a war for your identity. Stay until the end. Because what's being unsealed in this message could be the moment your spirit finally remembers who you really are. The unmistakable. Marking, you were marked before you were ever named. Before you ever said your first word, a war was launched in the unseen realm over your destiny. The enemy saw the light. The world sensed the weight. Even in your childhood, you were noticed by spirits that didn't know your name, but knew your threat. Isolation wasn't random. Misunderstanding wasn't accidental. It was spiritual surveillance. To be chosen isn't to be celebrated, it is to be targeted. Not because of what you've done, but because of what you carry. There is a signature of heaven upon you, and it doesn't fade with time. It intensifies under pressure. You were hunted early because you were anointed early. The prophets were always strange to their generation. Jeremiah was told not to marry. Hosea was told to marry unfaithfulness. Elijah lived in caves. David was writing psalms while everyone else was learning swords. You were marked by your difference, not your dysfunction. And while others mistook your silence for weakness, heaven was measuring your restraint. You weren't rejected. You were revealed. You saw things others ignored. You felt things others laughed off. You wept when no one else understood the burden in your bones. That's not emotional fragility. That's prophetic wiring. And the attacks you faced weren't proof of your failure. They were proof of your assignment. The oil attracts opposition. The enemy always strikes early because he fears what you might become if you survive the fire. The mark was not your curse, it was your confirmation. A throne is always preceded by a threat. Ask David. The silence between scrolls. There is a moment between being called and being commissioned, a wilderness between the word and the release. And in that space, God does his deepest work, not in your surroundings, but in your soul. You've asked why the doors didn't open, why the promises felt distant, why your prayers seemed to echo back with no reply. But what you called delay was actually divine distillation. The silence wasn't absence. It was surveillance. God was watching what you'd do when nothing made sense, when affirmation disappeared and applause was replaced by accusation. Moses spent 40 years in obscurity before a bush caught fire. Joseph endured pits, betrayal, and prison before a throne ever appeared. Jesus, the Son of God, spent 30 years hidden in Nazareth before revealing who he truly was. This is the sacred theology of concealment, where God hides what he values, where visibility is traded for refinement, where being known by heaven is more vital than being seen by man. In the silence, your name was being whispered through eternity. In the stillness, your roots were growing deeper than any platform could carry. In the quiet, angels were taking note of your posture. You thought nothing was happening, but your surrender was echoing louder than any shout. Ask yourself this: If God chose to hide you, would you let Him? Because sometimes the hiding is the evidence of heaven's favor, not its neglect. The fire that forms. The fire you endured didn't come to destroy you. It came to define you. Some of you have walked through betrayal so deep it scarred the unseen parts of your heart. You've buried dreams, grieved promises, held pieces of yourself that shattered quietly. But the breaking wasn't the end. It was the beginning of your forging. God doesn't anoint the untouched. He anoints the wounded, the ones who bled and still blessed, who were pierced and still praised. David wasn't made in the palace. He was made in caves, hiding from spears thrown by the king he once served. Job wasn't known for wealth. He was known for worship through ashes. Esther wasn't crowned for beauty. She was crowned for boldness in the face of genocide. Your pain was not punishment. It was prophetic preparation. You weren't just walking through fire, you were becoming fire. And now, your scars aren't just reminders, they're proof that flames cannot consume what God has called holy. In the furnace, your motives were burned, your idols melted, your ego shattered, until what remained was pure enough to carry His name without compromise. You prayed for power, but God gave you fire, because power without purity corrupts. This is the paradox of being chosen. To carry glory, you must first taste the grave. And now, heaven sees your ash-covered hands and calls them ready. The cost of disobedience. There are consequences to ignoring the whisper, to staying in the comfort zone when heaven is calling you to the front lines. You've felt the tug, the divine discomfort, and you've seen the signs, dreams waking you up, repeated verses, divine interruptions in ordinary moments. That is not coincidence. That is a holy summons. But the longer you delay, the louder the cost becomes. Jonah ran, and a storm found him. Not to destroy him, but to reroute him. Disobedience doesn't just delay destiny. It endangers everyone connected to your calling. There are people on the other side of your yes, souls waiting on your obedience, nations tied to your alignment. To be chosen is to be accountable. You don't get to disappear when you carry a scroll. You can't keep living small when heaven has called you to stand tall. You were not formed for neutrality. You were designed for divine disruption. This is not a threat. It's a wake-up call. The time for ignoring the assignment is over. You've been wooed by the world long enough. Now, the wind of God is rising, and your scroll is being placed in your hands. And if you won't carry it, God will raise another. Don't let delay become disqualification. The Unveiling of Authority isn't volume. It's weight. And some of you are heavier in the spirit than you realize. The devil didn't attack you because you were weak. He attacked because you were dangerous. Heaven gave you a voice, but you've been quiet. It gave you keys, but you've been standing at unlocked doors, waiting for permission. This is your awakening. You have been given legal right to move things in the spirit, to open what's been shut, to break what's been bound, to shake what's been stagnant. Luke 10:19 declares, "Behold, I have given you authority over all the power of the enemy." Not just access, dominion. You weren't meant to be reactive. You were meant to be disruptive. The sword is already in your hand, but it's time to stop admiring it and start wielding it. David didn't borrow Saul's armor. He brought stones, because his authority wasn't in appearance, it was in assignment. You are not under the weather. You are above it. You are not at the mercy of demons. They tremble at the authority within you. You are not becoming powerful. You already are. The only thing left is that you believe it. Heaven's assignment. You weren't saved to sit. You were saved to send. You didn't survive hell just to have peace. You survived so you could set captives free. Heaven is now opening the scroll of your assignment. This isn't motivational, it's missional. There are gifts dormant in your belly, words waiting to be spoken, blueprints downloaded but never built. It's time. You are in your ark-building season. Noah didn't wait for the rain to obey. He moved at the sound of heaven, even when the earth mocked him. So must you. God is commissioning you to start, to speak, to sow, to stand. Not when the conditions are perfect, but when the word is present, because the weight of what's coming requires you to move now. You weren't born to be a consumer of prophecy. You were born to be the fulfillment of one. The rise of the remnant. You're not alone in this. There are others, scattered across nations, timelines, cultures, and languages, but connected by the same frequency, the same whisper, the same fire. You felt crazy, out of place, like the only one who sees what's coming and feels what no one's talking about. But now you know, you are part of a remnant. A hidden army God has been training in caves, in closets, in silence. Esther's in waiting. David's in exile. Elijah's who thought they were alone, until God revealed the 7,000 who had not bowed. This is not just your awakening, it's ours. Your obedience strengthens someone else's resolve. Your rise is the signal for theirs. You were never meant to carry this alone. We are many. We are marked. We are moving. Echo activation. Everything you've carried was never just for you. The pain, the fire, the refinement, it was heaven's echo moving through your life, so that what you birth would echo beyond your timeline. You are not just a vessel. You are a reverberation. The word inside you must travel through nations, through generations, through bloodlines that thought they were forgotten by God. There are children yet unborn who will walk in freedom because you said yes. Your scroll is not a conclusion. It's a catalyst. Now, let it speak. Let it echo. Let it awaken what has been sleeping in the earth. Let it return what hell tried to silence. You are not just carrying a word, you are the word, and the earth is groaning for your release. Take a breath. The scroll is open now. What if the very thing you thought disqualified you was actually the signature of your assignment? The silence, the fire, the detours. They weren't mistakes. They were divine concealments. You weren't being delayed. You were being disguised for a holy hour. Chosen one, you've survived what should have broken you. You've endured what others ran from. You've walked through fire and came out carrying oil, and now you're no longer hidden. You're activated. Heaven didn't forget you. It was forging you. The scroll in your spirit is no longer sealed. It's open, and what's written on it echoes with purpose. You have been set apart. You have been tried by fire. And now you are being released into divine assignment. If this message awakened something eternal in you, if your spirit knows this wasn't just content but confirmation, comment 777 right now, a sacred signal that you've received what was sent for you. Tell us what stirred you most. What line broke something open? What moment felt like your mirror? Subscribe and stay connected to Echoes of the Chosen. This is not a channel, it is a camp of the remnant. A gathering place for the hidden ones heaven is now revealing. You are not alone. You are the next echo.